Hello, everyone. This is Scott Geider. My very special guest today is director, writer, producer, J.R. McGarrity. J.R., how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, the reason why you're on here is you have a career in the film industry, but the one that I want to talk about is called The Bloodlet in 2012.
That's correct.
Now, it's on Indiegogo. You're collecting money. It's not so much to make the movie, it's so much for the extras that you need for the film, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, now if you want, talk to listeners. You can mention about The Bloodlet and maybe a little bit about it so the listeners can get an idea of what the film is about.
Okay. Well, basically, the main character is an ex-cop. He was shot in the head of the line of duty, and his partner was killed, and he was romantically involved with her. So now he's all messed up, and he's in therapy, and he's guilt-ridden, and he's taken a job as the resident manager of a creaky old, creepy apartment building, the Royal Vista Apartments, because he has to remain employed, and he doesn't feel confident being a cop anymore.
Okay. Now, go ahead. Sorry.
So the owner of the old building is a greedy old Chinese guy named Wang, and I have a lot of fun with that. Wang, and I've actually got a second generation Chinese American playing the role, and he loves it because it's so politically incorrect for him to be doing it. You know?
Yeah.
So and Wang is always like, you rent apartments. What do they call it? Pidgin. He's speaking in Pidgin. You rent apartments. No vacancies. No vacancies.
Awesome. Now, you talking like the film is finished, correct?
No, I've shot about 2/3 of it.
Okay.
And I've gotten to the part where I really need the special effects stuff.
Okay. Okay.
If you go to the website, you'll see the what I've cut together, the interviews, and then the little trailer and so forth and so on shows the vampire effects that we're going to do, and then I've got the effect where the head falls over backwards. I made that head myself. That's a plaster cast of the actor, and I actually made that head myself. And there's a picture of it on the Indiegogo site. But I'm at the part now where I've really got to collect some funds to put the rest of the special effects together and then shoot the rest of the movie.
Okay.
This is a really low budget movie. I've been making it out of my own pocket, and I manage an apartment building, so I've been shooting it around here in the basement, in the attic, in the trash can, in the hallways, and so a lot. And I chose this theme so that I could, as an auteur, an ultra low budget filmmaker, do what I want to do, have the artistic freedom, and not people looking over my shoulder and telling me what to do. And so I'm doing it myself for that reason. But to answer your question concisely, I'm at the point where I need special effects money, and I'm not going Steven Spielberg here. But they gotta look good enough for this movie.
Yes. Yes.
That'll ruin it.
Now, one thing that you have an advantage of, the idea of the film is basically in an apartment complex, and you happen to run an apartment complex. So when you go to shoot, the only person you have to answer to is yourself. Correct?
Pretty much. That's pretty much true.
And that's pretty much of a good deal as far as, being able to do the shots that you need. And if something gets messed up, you're already there. You can just reshoot it. And that's a good advantage.
One of the scenes that one of the first scenes that I shot was actually I shot in the attic. And our common friend, Bill Oberst, was up in the attic. And we had a stunt woman up there at one point, and then we had the makeup girl up there. And so the makeup girl was walking around in the attic, and she stepped in the wrong place, and she fell through into the apartment below. I mean, not completely all the way to the ground.
Holy cow!
But her leg went through. So I had to answer to me. I had to repair it.
See, that's a good thing. See, it's yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So Bill Oberst Jr. did have a small part, and you just mentioned him. And yeah, Bill and I have talked frequently. He's a good dude and a good actor. So that's a good thing to have somebody. Now, that's in the beginning, correct?
That's one of the early scenes. There's a character in the when Gus becomes the manager of the building, he thinks it's going to be a piece of cake, compared to being a cop. Well, people start dying left and right, and all this weird stuff is going on, and he finds out he's got a greater problem, and one of the characters hangs himself in the attic, and Gus, who is being plagued by dreams and nightmares, and you don't know whether it's his mind or if it's actually going on. It's kind of one of those kind of things. Is it reality or... Anyway, he has dreams of going up in the attic and discovering the body of Glasscock.
Nice.
And Glasscock, and we don't know it's a dream at that particular point. It's one of those things where you wake up and he realizes it's a dream, and then he finds Glasscock hanging and his guts have spilled out. And I've got some of the photos of that on the Indiegogo site in the gallery, and his guts have spilled out, and Glasscock suddenly wakes up, opens his eyes and says, "Don't let them in! Don't let them back in!" And he's talking about the vampires.
Nice.
And they ring the doorbell at that moment.
Yeah, see, here's the thing with me. I am not a vampire fan. Now, before I say that, it has to be a certain style. I'm a big Fright Night in the 80s, not the remake. The remake is garbage. But the original, and from what I see from this whole storyline is something that I'm very interested in, because it's not that Twilight stuff, where it gets too more mushy than a vampire flick, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So, if you want, I can go ahead and we can mention about the perks, because the money is being raised, like you mentioned, towards special effects. So,
okay.
For
now, let me tell you this. I happened to, years and years ago, I worked with William Ragsdale. I was working art department on Herman's Head. I don't know if you even remember that or not. That was back in.
Oh yes, 80s. I do. Oh yes, great TV show. Yes.
Anyway, I was the scenic artist on that.
Okay.
And anyway, William Ragsdale was on there, and who was both of these actresses that were with him that he was sandwiched between was one of them was her name was Tracy Lynn. And then the other one was a hot young, well, no, that was the second movie, when the Spanish vampire came back.
Right.
And anyway, I asked him one time, I said, what was it like working with these two actresses? And he goes, it was great, I just had to use a lot of saltpeter.
Well, the one actress that was in Fright Night, the first one, was also in Bundy's, the TV series, correct? Am I right?
Believe so. I believe so.
Yes. Yeah, William Ragsdale, to me, I think that's probably his claim to fame, along with,
Mannequin 2.
Yes, that one too.
But he's been making guest appearances on Justified lately.
Oh, wow.
Do you watch Justified?
No, I don't, but I might just check it out, because... Yeah, because we talked earlier this week, and me and you were both, if I'm mistaken, 80s horror fans, 80s film fans.
I love 80s horror movies, and I also I like you probably like him too. I like a lesser known. Now he was actually more fun in the era, I think. Dario Argento.
Yes.
And his hot daughter Asia Argento. Okay, ask me about the perks.
Okay, well, for $10, listeners, for $10, it's a rest in peace single. $10, you get a special note of thanks from the Blood Nuts producer, sent via email and added to the contributors page.
That's correct.
And for $25, it's a studio apartment. Rest in peace. A digital grab bag, note of thanks sent via email, autographed headshots from two of the principal actors of your choice.
That's right.
Nice perks. And for $50, you get a rest in peace upstairs unit, all the same above. Plus, you get download an album from the website www.djblues.com. www.mutaytor.com. You also get the autographed headshots as well as a digital grab bag. Special note of thanks from the producer, and all sent by an email. Now, here comes the juicy ones. For $100, rest in peace, studio with a balcony. Really, a balcony. How big is the balcony?
It's only 4 feet wide by 8 feet long.
Well, you get an autographed headshots from all the principal actors and actresses, the digital grab bag, the album download, and special thanks sent via email. Then upon completion of the movie, you'll get a DVD copy of the movie sent by USPS, as well as a poster signed by the actors and director. Now that's a good one for $100.
I think so.
Now for $150, you get the Aloft department. Now we're getting a little more Richie-fied now, okay? At this level, you get the perks mentioned in the above, plus a $100 level, as well as a signed copy of the concept art that we used to develop the look of the vampirist star in her final explosive scene. You also get a latex vampire brow sent USPS. Now, for people like yourselves who like to get things that, a lot of people do collect, like what you mentioned here, like the vampirist star and her final, the explosive scene. This is something, like a latex vampire brow. A lot of people who collect the vampire stuff, that would be a big one for somebody who's a collector and that kind of stuff. So that's a good idea for that one.
Well, that was the reason that I put it at that level, because I know that's maybe a little bit pricey, but the reason I put it at that level is because I have to actually buy the brows from the people from my makeup artists.
Okay.
And so, but I figured it's a good perk. What it is it's to encourage more people to give at that level, because that's the level that apparently fills out what most people are trying to raise.
Exactly. That's a good idea. Now for $200, you get a condo. All the perks mentioned in the $100 level, as well a signed copy of the concept art that we used to develop the look of vampirist star in her final explosive scene. And Wang, after the vampires have sunk their teeth into him, you also get a latex vampire brow and a copy of the death mask used in creating a homeless guy's decapitated head. Now, that is very creative, JR. Very creative.
In terms of perks?
Exactly. That's very creative, because now people do collect mass, and you have something that other filmmakers have not attempted to do, and that's bravo to you, because now you're giving people something, all the above, plus they actually get something physical for memory of the donation to the film. Very good idea.
And the reason that I can offer those things is because I make them myself.
Nice. Now, we're in the Richie-fied. The Townhouse, $250. All the perks above, okay, except that the concept art will be hard copies signed by the artist and sent USPS with brows and death mask. Fantastic. Now for $500, the Penthouse Suite. How many bedrooms?
In the Penthouse Suite, it's 3.
Such a smart ass.
One of the bedrooms is actually more of a den.
Oh. Well, you get all the perks from the other levels, a grab bag, and the album from the website we mentioned earlier. That's www.mutaytor.com. It's still a digital download, but the headshots autographed by the actors and a poster and all concept artwork sent will be signed, hard copies signed. In addition, you'll be given an honorary associate producer credit. Now that, if people who want to start a resume on IMDb or has something to be part of something, that's a good deal there. $500. It's a real good one.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, that level is really less for 80s horror fans as much as it is people who would like to have some credits. And because this is a low-budget movie, ultra-low-budget movie, it's helping me out, and they're deserving of that credit.
Exactly. Very interesting. Now the $1,000 one. Now we got the whole top floor. All the perks from the previous levels, and the decapitated head of the homeless guy that we use in the movie, and an honorary producer credit. Now we're one step up. That's a good deal as well.
Well, that's the real head, and I once again, that's for somebody who's really wanting a producer credit.
Right.
That's my thinking is. But the other thing about it is like there's a picture of the head on the side, and it looks really cool. It's very realistic looking. I think at the point in the movie, you're not sure if it's just an actor in makeup, but when it falls off backwards, and that's the reason that I had to do it was because for the gag, it needed to fall over backwards when the garbage man shakes the can. So, and I've only got one of those. So there's only one of those available.
Excellent. Wow. So it hasn't been claimed yet. So people, if you want it, hurry up. There's only 0 left. It means nobody got it, so there's one left to claim, so go for it. Now for the $2,500, the grand prize. Treasures from the Attic. All the perks from the previous level except the decapitated head of the homeless guy that we use in the movie, a honorary executive producer credit, and the Warhol of Maryland. This is original created. Excuse me, I gotta edit this out. This is an original created in Andy Warhol's factory by an employee as it was done back then. It is not signed, but it is genuine and enclosed in a plexiglass case.
That's correct.
Interesting.
There's a guy who lives in my building, who lives here in the building, and he worked in Andy Warhol's factory. This guy's about 70 years old, and he worked in Andy Warhol's factory back before Andy Warhol moved into the second factory. This was the first one, and the way that they produced these artworks of Andy Warhol was they were basically silk screened, and they used Andy Warhol himself created the design, the screens, and then they would squeegee on through the screen different layers of color, creating it. So you can have one Marilyn Monroe that looks slightly different because different layers of colors were used during the process. So they're not all exactly the same. The ones that Andy Warhol signed are worth tons and tons and tons of money. The ones that were not signed by Andy Warhol can still be authenticated, and they're still real, but they're not worth as much money as the ones, of course, that are signed or either stamped real by the guy who was actually running the factory. His name I forget, but they're only good for collectors. They can't even be shown in museums because the Warhol Foundation they're really pricky about it. They don't like the fact that these exist out there, because what they will do every once in a while, because they've got tons and tons of these in the factory, what they'll do every once in a while is they'll let some of them out to the public. So they don't want all these ones that these employees and interns and stuff made when they were working there. Okay. He's also got a sign of Mickey Mouse by Andy Warhol.
Oh wow! Yeah. Now, do you want to mention the cast members that are in the film? I mean, we talked about
Sure.
Bill, but go ahead and mention some of the cast members, or all the cast members, if you can remember them all. If not, I can help you.
Okay. Well, now you're just talking about the principals, right? Not the okay. Well, Roland Blanton is he's playing the lead, Gus, and I need somebody like Roland because he's been because he has to show up weird hours and he has to schedule for me, and he's really great. He's his other job, even though he does work as an actor, he's like a lot of other people who are still struggling to grab the brass ring. But his other job is he's a personal trainer, and the guy's like, man, he's like all buffed up,
Mm-hmm.
and because Gus kind of represents me, sort of in the movie. It's really nice to see a young buffed up guy.
Excellent.
And now his nemesis in the movie is a woman by the name of Tiffany. The character's name is Tiffany. Tiffany is played by Cassandra Leach. And once again, all my actors are people who, are well, not all of them have two jobs. Some of them just work strictly as actors.
Right.
But a lot of them are still, waiting tables or, doing other jobs. Cassandra does both. She gets other work, but she also holds down a waitress job. She was complaining about the manager of her where she works this morning on Facebook about how he was complaining about the way the croissants look. And of course, her response was, "You bought them from Costco. How did you think they were supposed to look?" But anyway, she's really been great. She's once again, when you're working weird schedules like this, when you ask people to come in and what you ask them to do, and a lot of them are doing it. Most of them are doing it because they really like the script. They like the opportunity. They want to work.
Right.
Actors want to work. Even actors who are already well established a lot of times will take lesser projects because they like them because they want to keep working.
Right.
Clint Jung, who plays Wang, he's about 25 years younger in real life than the character he's playing. The age makeup takes forever to get him all wrinkled up, and you put a skull cap on him, make him bald and sick, and he is a Chinese American. He's a working actor. He does nothing else. I see him all the time playing, having 3 lines in, Torchwood, or doing a non-speaking, Tercel commercial or something. He's always popping up on TV. David Landry, and he does a little bit of producing. Clint does a little producing of his own. David Landry, I saw, he's Connor, the one of the male vampire, and David's a great guy. You got to be careful with David though. There's no telling what's going to come out of this guy's mouth. He'll be goofing around and doing a little bit of improv, and you'll go, okay, who wrote that? It's great, but who wrote it? And I saw him last week on Luck, the new David Milch thing on HBO. And then Elise Jackson, who plays Star, Orange County girl. She's got her own theater. She gets cast in a lot of period pieces and Hallmark made-for-TV movies and stuff like that. And she was really attracted to this role because she gets the girl next door role so often that it was fun for her to get her vampire on.
Okay, cool.
And so that's Elise. And then the other character who's one of the tenants in the building who appears most often is Ken McFarland, and he's the old cross-dresser that lives down the end of the hall. And Ken does a lot of theater. He's one of those guys that just loves theater. He does a lot of theater. Now he also works a lot as an actor in TV and films and stuff. But he's always doing something. I think he's just closing something up. And he really, the cross-dressing scene, where he's dancing in his apartment in his female garb, is absolutely hysterical. And what a sport he has been in playing it and doing those things as well. So those are the main actors.
Okay.
Oh, except for the homeless guy, Richard Foster. There's a guy, and as the manager of the building, this actually came from a guy who used to. I'd go out to the garbage can to empty stuff, and this homeless guy, African American, who would crawl over the fence, get into the garbage can, and he'd be in there rummaging around for bottles and stuff. And I'd walk in there, and he'd pop up, and I'd like, dude, you can't be in here. This is private property. You just crawled over the fence. And instead of being all humble about it, he'd like the guy was like, hey, you cracker,
Yeah, right.
Mofo cracker, shut the, it's like, oh my God, and I thought it was kind of, put me back, but I thought it was funny So I wrote a character based on the actual homeless guy, and Richard Foster, who's does a lot of comedy around town. He's kind of new at acting, but he's been doing comedy for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
He told me, so I was directing him in the scene with Roland, and he said, and it's in his interview. He said it's the first time that I've ever had a white man ask me to call him Cracker over and over and over again and like it.
That's funny. That's
so
hilarious.
that's the principal crew. But then I got a host of other people who come in. The people who are looking for apartments, or the people the ambulance attendants who come in to haul the bodies out, and then Bill, his little cameo is the guy who hangs himself.
Nice. All right. Well, it seems very interesting. Can't wait to see this because, like I said before, I'm not a vampire fan, but the storyline here seems very interesting.
I have a degree in literature. Okay, like Joe Bob Briggs does. I'm sure you're aware of Joe Bob. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Bob is a quite well-educated man. A lot of people may not get that about him, but he's quite well-educated individual and held some honors in literature. But I thought that the concept, the idea of somebody being under such duress that they knowingly, he doesn't know they're vampires. He knows something's weird because they only show up at 3:00 in the morning and they keep wanting in. And I kind of fall back on the old succubus legend, the demons who come to people while they're sleeping, in the middle of the night. And I get away a little bit from sort of the standard ideas, and it's a little bit comedy horror. I make references to things that are going on in society at our time, less because I want to be political than I want to bookmark sort of, where it's happening. I'm trying to make it seem like it's happening in a real world. Stephen King does that.
Right.
He's always putting something in there that kind of grounds you in reality. So, and I make some comments about the liberals, and I make some comments about the conservatives. I try to be an equal opportunity offender, but and the best humor to me is the old Chinese guy who keeps complaining because he's got a respirator and he's got an air tank there, and he keeps complaining about his respirator because it was made in China and it doesn't work.
Oh God. Well, if you want, you can mention the websites too. I can mention them too. There's a website called www.thebloodlet.com. There's info there, and of course the Indiegogo page is www.indiegogo.com/the/blood/let. Now, all these links will be on the interview on the site. So, if you're interested in donating and helping out and getting some of the perks, all the sites will be there. And if you want to read more about it, you go on the website, www.thebloodlet.com. And also, is there a Facebook page for this too, correct?
There is a Facebook page. Yeah, you can just you can go on Facebook and just search for the Bloodlet and find it.
Okay.
And it's 3 words. The Bloodlet. It's not Bloodlet 2 words.
Right.
And there's only one on there. You can also, now, of course, I think everybody's, these days, it seems like, unless you don't put it on there, everybody's email address is on Facebook as well. But you can get to the website from the Indiegogo page. I'm not sure that I've got it hooked up to where you can get back the other way. But on the website, the last page, there's a contact page. Anybody wants to write me an email, then all they've got to do is write that email and hit send, and then the website sends it to me.
Okay.
So that's one way. And you can get, like I said, you can get to the website from Indiegogo. And I'm about to put up some stuff like a new perk. It's going to be, again, it's the manager's special or stuff from the attic. I've got a bunch of skulls and spider babies and all kinds of weird stuff that I've had from previous movies. And And so if I'm going to put up pictures, and people can contact me about some of those stuff, and I'll say, okay, well, you hit this level, and I'll give you that with this if they want to do that. I don't. Is that kosher?
Yes, that's perfect. I mean, it gives a person an opportunity of picking something that they want. That's a good idea.
My niece, and what gave me the idea was my niece, who's stationed in Germany right now. Because I'm hitting on my family. Hey, you guys, you got to support me in this. She saw my Facebook page, and she saw the sculpture of the spider, and she goes, "That's really cute." And she goes, "So if I donate, can I have the spider?" Well, I have some spiders, and that's what made me think of it. It's like, well, yeah, and I should be offering those things as perks as well. And then there's also DVDs of my other movies that I'm willing to include. With people mention you, I'll send them a copy of the Night of the Flesh Eaters.
Oh, interesting. Nice. Well, I'll tell you what, again, it looks very interesting, and the pictures on Indiegogo, vampire fans, I mean, if you're a serious vampire fan, which I'm sure you'll get them, they're definitely going to be checking this out. So I wish you all the best. I mean, the perks are great. The movie looks very interesting, and I want to thank you for contacting me to do this.
Well, I appreciate you taking the interest. It's and I've enjoyed this immensely.
Well, I'm glad you did. I can stumble around sometimes, but I try to get things out quickly, and sometimes I get my tongue gets tied up. But I really appreciate your time. I wish you all the best, and I'll definitely keep my eye out for this, and hopefully we can chat again.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
All right.
TheVoiceOfHorror.com